Good morning. Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. As you can see, I'm in my gym clothes. And hey, who's gotten in a workout so far this morning? Let me know. I want to know who my most driven people are. So let's jump right into today's topic. Welcome if you're joining live. I now go live at 6:45 a.m. And so you can join me here every day, Monday through Friday at 6:45 a.m. to start your day off with some motivation, with some real honest talk about what it takes for you to create the high performer lifestyle that you desire. If you haven't signed up for my show, Not Born to Be Average yet, what are you waiting for? Notborntobeaverage.com. Go ahead and sign up for that. So let's just jump right in. If you are like many of the people that I work with, you want to make a big difference in your communities, in your family, and really in the world, right? You've got big aspirations. Perhaps you've lived, most of your life up to this point by playing, by the average rules, staying inside the lines, in the box, like just skating by, just being okay in life. But now you want more, right? There's more to life than just like a 9-to-5 job, mediocre relationships, like okay health, right? Now you're allowing yourself to dream, right? To set big goals. Perhaps you're making a career change, or like many of my clients, you're stepping into entrepreneurship, either full-time or on the side, or you're setting big fitness goals, like my clients, Emma and Sandra, for example, who are competing in fitness competitions, in physique competitions, right? Emma, did something like this years ago and was inspired by what I did this year, turning pro, to go back and also try her hand at it. And she hired my coach. And now Sandra, my client, is going to have her do her very first one at age 50. Right? So they're now setting bigger goals, right? They're dreaming bigger than they've ever done before. In fact, my client Sandra said that after her divorce, she realized, and this happens to many women, so if you can relate, let me know, but she realized after she had gotten divorced that she had never dreamed for herself before. She had never set any personal aspirations beyond being a wife and being a mom, which she was great at. But then when she got a divorce, she realized, wait a minute, it's time for me to dream. It's time for me to set big goals. Like, I've got the whole next half of my life to live. And so those are the kind of people that I typically work with, right? The point is you've woken up. You have woken up to what's possible for you, and now you are hungry for it. Does that sound like you? Good morning, Isidro, Catherine, Rosemary. So you're hungry for it, right? So that's great. That's a great place to be in life, to be hungry for something. Because if you're just sitting back kind of like, life is okay. I'm cool. This is great. I'm, getting a check, going to, the movies, every now and then, right? If you're like in that state of just okay and mediocre, and you're okay with that, then, you're okay with living an average life. You're not really attracted to the high performer lifestyle. If you're attracted to living a high performer lifestyle, and that doesn't mean like burning yourself out, high performer, like go, go, go. It means getting resourceful with how you spend your time, what we talked about this week, how you spend your money, the people that you surround yourself with, how you think on a daily basis, right? So you start to ask yourself, what are the ways that I can start to operate in my life, the choices I can make, the things that I can do that will actually allow me to create these better than average experiences in my life, right? So those are the type of people that I tend to work with and support, and that's you, right? So you are awake now to what's possible for you, and you're hungry for it. You're hungry for it. So how do you stay committed to that desire, to that dream, to that hunger? How do you stay committed to it? Let me know in the comments if you are really hungry for this big goal or dream or experience that you've now declared that you want in your life, right? So how do you stay committed to it? How do you stay engaged in it for the long haul when the initial excitement wears off? Or when you're not seeing the specific result as quickly as you thought you would, right? How do you stay committed to it? Well, it really comes down to what we've been talking about this week. It comes down to simple things, simple solutions is what I call it. This week, we've been talking all about the simple solutions that you can use in your daily life, your day-to-day life on a daily basis to create massive results. The small things that you do consistently over time. It's not the big grandiose ideas. It's not the big ideas that we come up with and get excited about and jumped into, right? That we may or may not stay excited about or committed to in order to create the result, right? It's not those big things. It's the simple things we do on a regular basis. And I see people struggle with this all of the time. If you've ever struggled with this, let me know, right? You get excited, you get all engaged, but then that starts to fizzle out in the day-to-day life. And there's a reason why. You haven't really set in place the solutions, the tools, and the small things that you can do on a daily basis to keep you in that forward focus space, to eliminate distractions, to trim all the fat of all the other stuff you think you need to keep throwing into the pot, right? At a certain point, you've got to look at the stew or whatever it is that you're making and realize that it's got all the ingredients that it needs. It just needs to slow simmer, right? It's not about just adding more and more seasoning, right? You've got your pot, you've got the ingredients, trust and let it simmer. So how do we do that, right? It's the simple things that we do on a regular basis. So we talked about some things this week, and you can go back and look at those videos, right? We talked about, turning the big game being, the game of life, but like the game of how you actually, get to your goal. We talked about breaking that down into smaller games, smaller wins, right? Reverse engineering that bigger goal, right? We talked about how to use your buying power, what to invest in on your journey of personal and professional growth and development, how much that actually matters. Those are the small things, right? Because you're spending money on a daily basis, even if it's just like, recurring monthly, or, you're going out to the store and buying coffee, whatever it is, your buying power has a huge influence on, whether or not you're getting to your goal, right? And so it's what you consume, right? Not just what you consume, in your mind, right? Online, on TV, in your social circles, what you're reading, those things are super important. But it's also what you consume as a consumer, right? And we talked about not Walmart shopping your personal and professional development. So those are some of the things that we talked about this week, and you can go back and look at those videos. Today, what we're going to talk about is really one of the most important things, and it's really one of the foundations of what I teach in my coaching academy and with my one-on-one clients, right? And it's how to become solution-oriented. How do you get to become solution-oriented as opposed to problem-oriented, right? How do you stop seeing the problem? How do you stop looking for the problem and instead begin to look for the solution and or create it, which means you have to stop fighting for your limitations. You've got to stop fighting for your limitations, arguing for your limitations, defending your limitations, right? So that you can actually experience the growth that's going to get you to the result that you want. Think of the slow simmer in the pot. So how do you stop fighting for your limitations so you can actually start winning? How can you do that, right? I'm going to give you some specific examples about my life. And for those of you who are watching the replay and you're new to the group, you've come in through the Not Born to Be Average show. I just want to welcome you. I'm Jessica Perez-Beebe. I've been an entrepreneur almost 16 years. I've been a coach for over a decade, I think 12 years now. And really, I'm a mindset expert. I'm a mindset expert. I know how to get results. That is mostly what I'm known for, right? Is helping people to create transformations, get results in all different areas of their life, right? Performance, right? How do you actually take what you've learned, all of the information that you consume, the coaches that you hire, the programs that you sign up for? How do you take all of that stuff and actually create a result with it? How do you actually put it to use as opposed to just continue to consume? That's where we get performance, right? That's where we get high performance lifestyle, right? How do you get the actual results for what it is that you are consuming and just collecting more of, right? I say this all the time. It's not about collecting more information. It's not about taking more and more courses if you have already a tendency to not complete what you start, right? Because that just creates a habit of starting and not finishing. Okay, so this training is all about how to get results in your life this week, okay? And everything that I coach really is around that. So, like we said, today we're talking about how to become solution-oriented, how to stop arguing for your limitations and all the reasons why you can't do something, right? It's time right now to start arguing for the reasons why you can. Start arguing for the reasons why you can. So I want you to think right now, just recently, could have been this morning, oh, I can't get up. Or I can't go to the gym, even though I said I was going to go early. Like whatever. Think about the most recent thought you have had where you told yourself you couldn't do something, right? Or you couldn't be something. You couldn't have something. You couldn't create something. Just think about that. How recent was it, right? We do this on a regular basis, right? We've created this habit. We've created this autoplay in our mind of seeing all of the problems. Right? And what I'm talking about here now is how do you interrupt that and start to argue for the actual solution? How do you start arguing for your vision, right? How do you start backing your vision up instead of breaking it down, right? Instead of like crapping all over it, right? How do you start arguing for your future, for what is possible, for the potential that you do have? It's so easy. It's so easy for people to quickly go into, I can't do this because, I can't have this because, I can't become that person because, right? That's what it means to argue for your limitations, to fight for your limitations. It's like holding on with all your might to the reasons why I can't make it happen. No matter how many times somebody has extended a hand, has, given you advice when you've asked for it, right? Or points you in a direction where you can get training or coaching or recommends a book, right? How many times have you said, yeah, but that won't work for me? How many times have you said that? How many times have you said, but I'm different, that won't work for me? That's an example of fighting for your limitations. And whatever we fight for, we strengthen, right? Whatever we're saying on a repetitive basis, that the foundation of what I talk about is all around mindset. The whole method that I have, the Get Set method, is all around how to get in there and reshape, reform, rescript how you think on a daily basis. So how many times have you said, that's not going to work for me? Or I'll get around to it. Or, next time. Or I don't have the time right now. Right? So there's something that you want in your life, like we talked about early. Maybe it's health, maybe it's a fitness goal, maybe it's a career goal, maybe it's a relationship goal, right? Maybe it's a financial goal. And so the opportunities are showing up for you, right? The opportunities for you to take action or to look at things in a different way are there for you. but you're resisting them because you're seeing the problem. It's going to be too difficult. It's going to take too long, right? You start to train your brain to see the problem. So if you've been following me long enough, you've heard me talk about my 2-for-1 rule, right? That every time you come up with a reason why you can't have, do, or be something, you get to stop. Just notice it, right? Notice it as a pattern and automatically come up with 2 reasons why you can. Come up with 2 reasons why you can. Because that's a way that you can start to train your brain to look for the solution. That's one way that you can train your brain to start being solution oriented. It's called problem solving. Problem solving. Don't get stuck in the problem, find a solution to it. And if you continue to just sit in the problem, right, and the reasons why you can't, you're just programming yourself to always see the problem, right? And if you're a person who is in that space, you have conversations with your friends, they're talking to you about solutions, and you keep coming back with the reason why it can't happen, right? If you are, maybe behind the scenes, you're known as the negative Nelly. Maybe you are. Most of you here are super positive, so I know that that's not you. However, if you know that there's a part of you that starts to cower or starts to pull back or starts to hide when there's a big goal, and starts to tell yourself, that's like a pipe dream. If you're that kind of person, and you're actually speaking into that, if you're always speaking into the problem, right? You're always pointing out what's not working. You're always pointing out what's not right? Critical. You've got to know this. That's a very exhausting energy to be around. It just is. People might not be telling you that, right? Because they love you or they don't want to hurt your feelings. But that's an exhausting energy to be around. It's an exhausting kind of person to be around. And we know that whatever energy we put out, we attract. So if you're stuck in that solution, or if you're stuck in that problem, if you're stuck in seeing the problem, guess what? You're attracting more problems. Is this resonating with you? You're attracting more problems. You have the power, though, to let go of that. You really do. I'm going to share with you a little bit of my own stories, right? I had so many reasons why I couldn't do something. We've all been there, right? There were so many times where I argued for my own limitations. I'm not immune to that, right? That's why I'm sharing with you that you can shift it. Right? I used to have this story in my young adulthood that I used to tell myself over and over again about money. You may have heard me talk about it, right? And it was, I can't make more money, right? I can't make more money than I was making in the corporate job, right? Because I was making good money. Right. And I was always taught that, you get a job, you're grateful for having a job. I mean, I came from a very poor family. I was the first person to even graduate high school. Right. So for me to get that job that I have, even though I hated that job, that's what was crazy. Even though I hated that job, I was telling myself, this is as good as it gets. Right. There's like, this is it. Like, hopefully I'll get my 1 or 2% raise every year. Right. I had that story playing over and over, right? That there's no way to even advance in this job, or my education, it like has capped me right here. This is where I stay, right? I don't have the skills, or I'm not smart enough, or I don't know the right people. That's what I was telling myself at that point. I don't really know the right people to actually advance up. I had this story about you got to be connected. Yes, connections matter, but there's something that matters more than that. And that's what you've gotten here. And how you manage this, right? But at that time in my life, I was still stuck in that story. I was being a victim to what I had heard, right? My circumstances, right? And so I had all these stories and reasons and self-imposed limitations. I just didn't feel worthy of more than that. I didn't feel worthy of more than what I was making because I had those old beliefs, right? That money is hard to come by, right? And that I should just be grateful for what I have. And, gratitude is key, right? But I was stuck in that belief, in that I was seeing the problem instead of the solution. I was stuck in that belief. And another story I used to tell myself had to do with relationships, right? My mom was never married. She was never in a healthy relationship. So I didn't know what that looked like. So I told myself this story that I didn't need to be in a relationship. I'm independent. I don't need a relationship. I'm fiercely independent. I don't know what a good relationship looks like anyway, right? I don't want to be held down, and then when I was in relationships, it was like, well, this is as good as it gets, right? Because we attract what we believe. I might as well accept it, right? I might as well accept it again. That was just a story underneath. It was a story. And underneath, it was a bunch of false fears, false beliefs and interpretations and assumptions that I made as a child and as a young adult based on what was going on around me, right? It had nothing to do with the facts, right? It had nothing to do with any of that. What I really wanted and really desired actually was a relationship when I got honest with myself. What I really wanted to experience in a partner, right, was something that I had never seen before. But when I got honest with myself, I realized, well, that was their story. And just because I haven't seen it personally doesn't mean that I can't create it. So let me start to get solution oriented here. How is it that I can manifest a healthy relationship and all of these things that I desire in a relationship, right? And so I started to get into that vision piece of it. I started to read books, right? I started to come up with solutions of how I could actually attract the partner that I wanted and actually be equipped to be in that type of relationship. Because one of the principles I teach is that you can't attract what you're not already. So when we blame our partners and we blame the people that are in our lives, we're really blaming ourselves because we can't attract to us what we don't already have. And so I realized I had to start creating the solutions, right? I had to start creating the solutions for the type of relationship that I wanted, for the type of, financial life that I wanted, for the type of fitness that I wanted. Right before I even, was living this fitness experience, right? I had all these reasons why it was going to be too hard for me to lose weight when I set out on that, right? At one point I was like 25 pounds overweight and just really not healthy at all, right? And so I had all these excuses about, oh, it's going to be too hard, or I'll never be able to wear a crop top like some of these girls. My arms are too fat, right? I was seeing have you ever done that, right? Like beating yourself up. I was seeing all the problems with my body, and I was seeing all the reasons why it was going to be too difficult until I decided I'm going to create the solution. Right? For every one problem, you get to create two solutions. So where in your life do you know that you've got to be more resourceful with creating the problem, right? Because guess what? You've already perfected the art of all the reasons why you can't do something. So now you get to be open to why it's possible that a shift in your thinking right now can have you perfect the art of creating the solution, like I've done for myself, right? Like I've done in all these different areas, creating transformation. It begins here. It really does, right? And then it's the consistent repetition of how you think on a daily basis and how you surround yourself with people that, actually share those beliefs or who are not pulling you in to problem focus, right? So your environment is so key. Your environment is so key. So I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Hi. Yes, yes, yes. I like this slow simmer thing. Yes, me too. Stop crapping on your vision. Yes, love the 2-for-1 rule. Hi, Laura. Yes, I have come a long way. No more fizzle. Right. Beautiful, Rosemary. So you guys are getting it, right? It's like we are the CEOs of our life. It's up to us to create the result that we want. And when you are so dead focused on why something is not possible, you will never see the solution. And you will always be in this push and pull, right? When I think about like the thoughts that I was having around not being able to make more money and thinking like I should just be happy with that, right? Like I was in this push and pull, like, oh, I hate this job, but I'm making money, right? I was being ruled by the money, right? When I think about the whole relationship thing, right? Being afraid to get into an intimate relationship because I didn't really know what that was going to look like. I was allowing myself to settle for less than what I wanted in relationships because I believed that that's as good as it got, right? And so that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage. What I'm asking you to do in terms of these big goals, big desires you have for yourself, more money, a new career, entrepreneurship, a loving, committed relationship, transforming your body like I did. Like it takes courage to access a part of yourself, a part of yourself that is connected to spirit, that allows you to know that you've got what it takes to actually think differently, to actually find the solution, create the solution, and to believe it to be possible for you. Okay? So start to think about whatever that one big goal or vision you currently have is, and write out all the reasons you've been coming up with in your head. You may not have been sharing them with me if I'm your coach. You may not be sharing them with your spouse. You may not even be sharing them with yourself, honestly. But take a moment to write out all the things you've been saying in your head that are reasons why it can't happen, right? Put it out on paper so you can get it out of your head and see how internally you've been actually arguing for the limitation. You've been arguing for why you can't. And then rewrite it all. Rewrite it all. For each one of those, come up with 2 reasons why you can. All right. And if you need some support, let's get on the phone. Sometimes just allowing yourself to connect with someone like myself or another coach or someone that you trust, just connect and talk about what's been sticky for you. Even just that conversation can open up endless possibilities for you, right? To transform some area of your life, right? So if that's you and you want support, just reach out to me. You know how to just send a private message here. I'm not even going to throw my calendar link in there because it's completely booked for the next couple of weeks. However, I'm happy to just converse with you back and forth in Messenger or send you an audio. I'm happy to support you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Thanks for joining.